Selling a company. So it's important when you're building a company, even if at the moment you're not planning to sell it, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this for the next 30 years and I'm going to build up my cash flows and get my boat and get my hunting cabin and get all that stuff. That's one of the cool things about landscaping, is that you get all your toys and they're all like tax write-offs. So you get your four-wheeler and it's like a work machine, you get your bobcats and you get your trucks and you get all your shit, which is fantastic. But you want to know, or you should think about, what the hell is the thing that I'm building actually worth one day? Because if you can figure out what it's worth or what it will potentially be worth, it helps you measure how much time and based on where you are in life, where you should invest it. Here's an example. People for raw facts always ask, what's a landscape company worth? And if it's a well-organized landscape company, meaning it's got like a truck or two in place, like companies I've built, I've always sold for 5 to 7 months revenue. Now standard is 3 to 6 months revenue. So that's the revenue on your accounts plus equipment. Typically that's the value, the average value of a landscape company. Now if your company is super organized, has these things called SOPs in place, has a good team in place, has systems in place, has a database in place, has an online following in place, well, you might be able to get 8 to 12 months revenue. So you might actually be able to get a higher multiple for your asset than anyone else around you, just because your asset is like crisp. It's just like really well taken care of. But at some point, the company is only worth so much. So if you're doing like $200,000 a year in revenue and you've got like $100,000 in equipment, like maximum you're getting for that company is like 300 G's. And so you're like, oh, I want to build up a company, I want to sell it for $1 million. Like, all right, well then you can do the math backwards. You need to be doing at least like $1 million a year in revenue. Maybe have like 200,000 in equipment, list the company for 1.2, some guy offers you 1 million, you got a deal. Like, so it's important to know. Now, you're gonna get to a point where you realize your net worth is like more than it's ever been if you were to theoretically sell your company. And this is something to think about, because at this point, at the point where you've built your company up, you've also acquired certain skills. And you've also seen like what you would have done, what you wouldn't have done, other opportunities. Oh man, those guys are killing it in supply, or they're killing it in bobcat stuff, or heck, I want to go and sell, like I got awesome sales skills now, I want to go sell new homes, or I want to go build new homes, I want to go do something else. So it's important to know every year, ideally every quarter, what you could sell your company for and realistically what it could go for. And you can look on Craigslist for company listings, you can call up business brokers to get an idea. What you're looking for is the multiple of what the business is worth. And that's normally some sort of revenue multiple. In this industry, it's half a year revenue, 6 months on accounts, to maximum a year revenue. It's kind of a shitty multiple as industries go. Sometimes in software, they'll get 5 to 10 years revenue for their business. That's how valuable it is to another company. And so you might look at that down the road and go, okay, well I built up a company, it's got a 1 year multiple. I could sell this thing right now and have all the profits I would have had over the next 3 years. So I can theoretically have all the profits from the next 3 years tonight in my bank account if I sold this company. If you have the skill sets and now you have liquid cash for one of the first times in your life, because you're no longer putting it in your business, this opens up opportunities. This opens up opportunities to move your location. Open up that online business you were thinking about, but you've been maybe working on the side, building up that audience base. But it's very important to always be aware of how much is this thing that you're building actually worth and what can you do with it later on down the road.